Gene mutations occur in either individual genes or genomic regions of DNA, and the alterations occur in the base sequence of that particular gene or the DNA sequence. Whereas chromosomal mutations result from structural changes in chromosomes, such as the deletion of a small portion of the chromosome arm, or a duplication of a small portion of chromosome, or by numerical changes in chromosomes, that is, there may be deficiency of one chromosome, or there may be increase in number of one chromosome. Coming to the gene mutations. So the changes occur in the base sequence of individual genes or genomic DNA. Suppose that a change occurs in a gene, it can develop into a new allele. So that is how a gene mutation produces allelic alterations in the genotype. So that base sequence, the change in the base sequence, it is permanent because it's a heritable change, it is mutation, and that is transmitted to subsequent generations, and finally it becomes an allele of a population. So that is what is called as gene mutation. And since they occur at certain specific loci on the chromosomes or gene loci, they are also called as intragenic mutations or point mutations. And there are many processes which give rise to spontaneous gene mutations. Some may be DNA damage, the defective repair of DNA, and there may be errors during DNA replication, the insertion or excision of transposable elements, or the jumping genes which change their locus from one point to another point of a chromosome or another chromosome. So all these factors can contribute to gene mutations. Then the smallest fragment of the genetic material which is subjected to mutation is called as a muton. So we can call muton as the smallest mutable unit of a chromosome. Then coming to the types of gene mutations, usually there are two types of mutations occurring in genes. One is called as the frame shift mutation and the other is called as base pair substitution. Frame shift mutations can be of two types, insertion and deletion. Base pair substitutions can be either transition or transversion. So for that we have to see what is the difference between a frame shift and a base pair substitution. This is a frame shift mutation where we can see the wild type gene. So here, this is the sequence of the normal or the wild type gene which runs as ACA, AAG, AGA and GGT. So, by transcription, mRNA will be formed, and these mRNA will contain, in these mRNA, these sequences, they will act like codons, and each codon codes for a particular amino acid, and these amino acids are aligned one after the other during protein synthesis to form the normal protein. So this is what happens when a normal gene undergoes transcription and translation to form the protein. Now we will just look at the codons of the normal gene. So here the first codon is ACA, which will code for threonine. AAG, the second one, which codes for lysine. Third one is AGA, that codes for arginine. And fourth is GGT, which codes for glycine. So this is the order in which these amino acids are to be arranged one after the other during polypeptide synthesis. Now we look at another case. We go to the second row where there is incorporation of an extra base. There is incorporation of a nitrogenous base in between this A and A. You can see the last base in this codon and the first base in the second codon. Both are A. Here you can see by mutation a new base has been incorporated in between, that is G. So here an insertion or an addition of a nitrogenous base has occurred. So what happens? After transcription the mRNA will be formed, and in the mRNA this will also be incorporated, and now the reading frame of the codons will now change, because earlier the codons were like ACA, AAG, AGA and GGT. But now if there is an insertion, what happens is that the codons will change as, the reading frame of the codons will change as ACA, GAA instead of AAG. The first one is the same, that is here is just ACA, here also it is ACA. But for the second codon changes as when the normal gene when the normal mRNA transcript carries AAG codon, here the mutant the mRNA produced from the mutant gene will be GAA. So here instead of lysine, glutamic acid will be produced. Now thereafter the entire reading frame has changed. That is, the third codon should be AGA, but here what is the third codon? It is GAG. It is all because of the incorporation of a base here, that is G. G has been incorporated here, and thereafter the entire reading frame has changed. So a faulty protein has now been synthesized. So this is called as frame shift mutation, and this has occurred by insertion of a nitrogenous base in between. One or two bases, insertion of one or two bases can lead to such a change in the genotype and thereby the phenotype. The protein produced is entirely different. Now we will go to another condition where there is a deletion of a nitrogenous base. That is, here it is ACA, AAG. But here what happens is that this A, it has been deleted. So here also the reading frame will change. The first one will be threonine, and next it will read as, instead of AAG, it will read as AGA, and the amino acid is different. It will be arginine. Next will be glutamic acid. Next will be valine. So thereafter, after the point of deletion, all the codons will be different. The entire reading frame has been shifted, and the amino acids will which are sequentially incorporated will be different, and there will be synthesis of a faulty protein. So such type of a mutation in which the reading frame of the gene changes is called as frame shift mutation. And we will come to a condition which arises in humans due to frame shift mutation, that is beta thalassemia. So here what happens is that due to a frame shift, a termination codon, that means a codon which signals that protein synthesis or polypeptide synthesis has to be stopped. But this is a frame shift mutation in such a way that the termination codon or the stop codon has been mutated to a non-termination codon, leading to further protein synthesis without termination. So there will be defective hemoglobin synthesis. This all occurs in the gene coding for hemoglobin, the globin chain of hemoglobin. So here, by the conversion of a termination codon to a non-termination codon, a defective hemoglobin will be produced. And the examples are hemoglobin taq, hemoglobin constant spring, etc. are the defective types of hemoglobin synthesized due to frame shift mutation, and which eventually leads to the disease beta thalassemia. The frame shift mutations are also seen in certain other human genetic disorders such as Tay-Sachs disease, then familial hypercholesterolemia, and these some of the frame shift mutations can also increase the susceptibility to certain cancers. So that is how a frame shift mutation operates. And now we will go to a substitution mutation. So here in the first row you can see a normal gene which reads as AATGTGCCG. This is the mutant allele. So here you can see that all except this second base are the same, but the second base, that is A, has been mutated to G. So now, this is the only place where one base is replaced by the other. That is why it is called as substitution. So substitution is a type of mutation in which one base has been replaced by another. So here there will be no change in the reading frame of that gene during protein synthesis, but what effect will be produced we will see. Now these genes will transcribe for mRNAs, and this wild allele will code for an will transcribe into an mRNA. The mutant allele will also transcribe into mRNAs. In the mRNA produced from the wild type allele or the normal allele, this will be the mRNA, the codon in the mRNA from this region. The corresponding codon of this region in mRNA will be UUA, which codes for the amino acid leucine. Whereas, because AAT transcribes into UUA in the mRNA. So that codes for the amino acid leucine. Whereas, the mutant allele AGT, its corresponding mRNA codon will be UCA, which codes for serine. So, when protein synthesis takes place, instead of incorporating, if the allele is mutant allele, instead of incorporating leucine, serine amino acid will be incorporated. So, this kind of mutation is called as substitution mutation. And the classical example of a substitution mutation that results in a disorder or a lethal condition is that of sickle cell anemia. This also occurs by a point mutation in the gene that codes for the beta globin chain of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, as we know, is composed of 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. And in the gene coding for the beta globin chain, there occurs a point mutation. And we will go to that one. That is, this is the wild or the normal allele for beta globin of hemoglobin, which reads as CAC, GTG, GAC, TGA, GGA, CTC, CTC. So from this, mRNA will be transcribed, and through translation a polypeptide will be produced, and the polypeptides produced in the polypeptides produced, valine will be the first, followed by histidine, leucine, threonine, proline, glutamic acid. So the sixth amino acid, the amino acid in the sixth position of the beta globin chain is glutamic acid, because this has been coded from this region CTC, GAG. So this is one strand of DNA which runs as CTC, and this is the complementary strand which runs as GAG. So this is the normal allele, and this is the normal beta globin chain. Now here, when a point mutation occurs here this GAG, there occurs a mutation in which this A is substituted by T. So GAG becomes GTG, or CTC becomes CAC. So here A has been replaced by T, and when it undergoes transcription, an mRNA will be produced, and the mRNA will undergo translation. And during this time, in the sixth position of the beta globin chain, instead of glutamic acid, it is valine which is incorporated, which will lead to an abnormal beta globin chain of hemoglobin. So in the sixth position of the beta globin chain, instead of glutamic acid, valine will be incorporated. This arises because of a single point mutation that changes A into T. So this is an example of a substitution mutation or a point mutation. And the change in amino acid sequence causes the hemoglobin molecules to crystallize when the oxygen levels in the blood are low, and the oxygen carrying capacity of the RBCs reduce. The RBCs assume sickle shape and they get stuck in small blood vessels. So this condition is called as sickle cell anemia, which again arises out of a point mutation. Now these point mutations, we can classify them as silent, nonsense and missense. So how can we distinguish among them? So here we will go to the normal gene, which is TTC in the DNA level. Its mRNA transcript will be AAG, which codes for the amino acid lysine. So this is the normal case. We go to a silent mutation. Here, this TTC, this is the normal gene. This C is substituted by T in the third position. The C is substituted by T. So this is a point mutation. And the mRNA transcript will be AAA instead of AAG. And it codes for, again, lysine itself. So even if there is a mutation, the amino acid produced is the same. So such a mutation is called as silent mutation, because there is no phenotypic change, because the protein produced is the same. So a mutation occurs without any phenotypical change is called as a silent mutation. It doesn't cause any effect. Now we go to a nonsense mutation. Here, this is the normal gene, that is TTC. A substitution has occurred so that TTC becomes ATC. The mRNA transcript therefore will be UAG instead of AAG. But when AAG codes for lysine, this UAG, it doesn't code for any amino acid, it's a stop codon. So when it is a stop codon, there will be termination of protein synthesis. That means there will be early stoppage of, or premature stoppage of protein synthesis, and the protein will be non-functional. So such a mutation is called as a nonsense mutation, where a codon becomes an amino acid coding codon will become a stop codon, so that there will be premature end of protein synthesis. Then we go to missense mutation. Here also you can see substitutions. That is TTC. This T has been substituted by C, and the mRNA transcript will be AGG instead of AAG. And this AGG, it will code for arginine instead of lysine. So this type of a mutation is called as a missense mutation, where one amino acid is replaced by the other. Sickle cell anemia is an example. Then another example is this T has been substituted by G, and the mRNA transcript will be ACG instead of AAG, and the amino acid incorporated will be threonine instead of lysine. So these two are examples of missense mutations, where the amino acid lysine has been replaced either by arginine or threonine. But what is the difference between these two? The first one is called as conservative, and the second one is called as non-conservative. This can be called as synonymous, and this is non-synonymous, because the amino acid arginine is similar in properties with lysine. That is why it is called as conservative or synonymous. Whereas the amino acid threonine is having different chemical properties compared to lysine. That is why it is called as non-conservative or non-synonymous. So that is how the missense mutations are classified into conservative and non-conservative. So silent is a mutation which doesn't produce any change in the amino acids incorporated in the protein. There is no visible phenotypic change observable. Nonsense mutation is one in which instead of an amino acid coding codon, we get a stop codon, and there will be early termination of protein synthesis. And missense mutations are those in which one amino acid is replaced by the other. The classical example is sickle cell anemia. So when we go to sickle cell anemia again, you can see that the glutamic acid has been replaced by valine. So for missense mutation, we saw sickle cell anemia. For silent mutations, we cannot see any phenotypic changes. Example for nonsense mutation is disorder which is called as DMD, or Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The gene is located on X chromosome, and the mutation results in disorder which will lead to the dystrophy or destruction of the damage to the muscles. So that is called as Duchenne muscular dystrophy, or DMD, which results from a nonsense mutation. Now, which are more likely to show their phenotypic effects? Either the frame shift mutation or the base pair substitution. 80% of gene mutations or point mutations are frame shift, because once the addition or deletion of a base has occurred, thereafter the entire reading frame of the gene will be changed, and the protein produced will be non-functional. Whereas in base pair substitution, if the replacement occurs in such a way that there is no defect in the protein produced, then there will be no phenotypic effect. That is why in when we take the gene or point mutations, 80% are frame shift mutations. So 80% of point mutations or the frame shift mutations, they will give rise to 80% of the observable phenotypic effects, whereas 20% of point mutations are base pair substitutions. Now, The substitution mutation is again of two types, that is transition and transversion. Transition is a point mutation where a pyrimidine is replaced by another pyrimidine, or a purine is replaced by another purine. For example, if T has been replaced by C, or if C is replaced by T, or if A is replaced by G, or G replaced by A, because A and G are purines and T and C are pyrimidines. Such mutations are called transitions. In transversions, a purine is replaced by a pyrimidine and a pyrimidine is replaced by a purine. That is, if T is replaced by either A or G, C is replaced by G or A is replaced by T or C, G is replaced by T or C. They are examples of transversions. So when we take the case of sickle cell anemia, we can see that GAG has been mutated to GTG. That means A has been replaced by T. A is a purine, T is a pyrimidine. And this is an example of a transversion, because a purine has been changed to a pyrimidine, or a pyrimidine has been replaced by a purine. So these are the different types of point mutations or gene mutations. We have to study the mechanisms by which the substitution mutation takes place. In substitution, one base is being replaced by the other, and substitution mostly occurs spontaneously, and there are three mechanisms which lead to substitution mutations. Of these, the first one is called as tautomerization. The second one is by the binding of base analogues, and the third one is by ionization. So, tautomerization, ionization and the binding of base analogues will lead to substitution mutations. So, first we will go to tautomerization. So, for that we have to first see what is a tautomer. Tautomers are isomeric forms of molecules which can exist in equilibrium, and they form by reversible redistribution or shift of electrons, protons, hydrogen atoms, etc. There are 4 nitrogen bases in DNA. They are adenine, thymine, guanine and cytosine, of which adenine and guanine are purines and thymine and cytosine are pyrimidines. So, all these bases are subjected to tautomeric change. So, their tautomers can be formed by the redistribution of protons and electrons, and that is called as tautomic shift or tautomerization. And we will just see what happens to these 4 nitrogen bases when they convert to their tautomeric forms. So, we first go to their basic structure, that is thymine, which is a pyrimidine. So, this is thymine. This is the keto form. This is a nitrogen base which exists in the keto form. We can see a keto group. This is the keto group. Now, there is one more keto form of nitrogen base, that is guanine. So, this is guanine which exists in the keto form. So, this is the normal guanine nitrogen base which exists in the keto form with CO group, and this is the normal thymine nitrogen base which also occurs in keto form. Now, we will go to adenine and cytosine. So, this is cytosine. Here, the functional group is an amino group. So, this is the amino group of cytosine. Now, we go to adenine. Adenine also carries amino group. So, basically, we can say that adenine and cytosine are amino forms of nitrogen bases, and thymine and guanine are keto forms. Now, what happens when they lead to when they undergo tautomerization to form new forms? So, here this is the normal thymine, but once it becomes the tautomer, there occurs a redistribution so that it no longer exists in the keto form, but it now converts to the enol form. So, here you can see the functional group has been changed to OH. So, the keto form changes to the enol form. Similar change occurs in guanine also when it undergoes tautomerization. That is, here this is the keto form which will get converted to the enol form. Now, we go to what happens to adenine and cytosine. Adenine exists in amino form. When it undergoes tautomerization, it will get converted to the imino form. Here you can see the amino form has been changed to the imino form. Similar change occurs in cytosine also, that is cytosine, which is an amino form, gets converted to the imino form. So these are the tautomers of these 4 nitrogen bases. Now we will see what effect will tautomerization have on these nitrogen bases. So these are the tautomerized molecules with amino groups converted to imino groups and keto forms converted to enol forms. Tautomerization leads to a wrong pairing of these nitrogen bases. That is, they enter forbidden base pairing. When adenine is in its amino form, it will always pair with thymine. But if adenine is in the tautomeric form, it will pair with cytosine instead of pairing with thymine. Similarly, if cytosine, it is in the amino form, it will only pair with guanine. But if it is in the tautomeric or the imino form, it will pair with adenosine. So here you can see that these nitrogen bases will undergo abnormal base pairing when they are in their tautomeric forms. Similar changes occur with thymine and guanine also. Thymine in its normal form will pair with adenine, whereas if thymine is in its tautomeric form, that is in enol form, it will pair with guanine instead of pairing with adenine. Guanine in its normal form, that is the keto form, usually pairs with cytosine. But if it is tautomerized into the enol form, it will pair with thymine. That is what is called as forbidden base pairing. So the transformation of a base from its common form to a tautomeric form through the redistribution of protons and electrons will lead to forbidden base pairing. Now we will go to how tautomerization leads to a substitution mutation, for which we should have a basic idea of DNA replication. DNA replication, as we already know, is a semi-conservative mechanism where before replication the 2 strands of the DNA will unwind and separate, and each of these 2 strands will act as templates for the synthesis of new strands. So after DNA replication, there will be 2 daughter molecules, and in both these daughter molecules, one of the strands will be the parental strand and the other will be the newly synthesized strands. So we will go to one instance where you have a base pair, that is AT, in a DNA molecule. Now suppose there has occurred a tautomerization by which this A has been converted into a tautomerized form. Now this molecule undergoes replication. When it takes place, the strands will separate. So here it is A and here it is T. These 2 strands will separate. But now this A is in the tautomeric form. So what happens? During replication, when the new strand is being synthesized, here a nucleotide will be incorporated, but that will be C instead of T. What is the reason? Because A is in the tautomeric form. So here there has occurred a forbidden base pairing. Now these tautomers are not stable. They can revert to their normal form. So this conversion from a normal form to a tautomerized form is reversible. So after a while it can convert to a normal form. But by the time the opposite strand, the complementary strand, is having C instead of T. Now this A has been converted to its normal form and C is here. Now this molecule now undergoes replication. So this strand will separate and this strand will separate and they will act as templates. So in the next replication, A has already been reverted to its normal form. So it will pair with T. So here there is no problem. But this strand is already having C. So it will pair with guanine during the next replication. So this A initially was in normal form. It converted to the tautomeric form and then it undergoes replication. During that replication, it will pair with C instead of T. In the next replication, By the time the next replication occurs, the A must have reverted to its normal form, but C is still there. So in the next replication, when these two strands separate, A will base pair correctly with T, but C will base pair with G as it normally does. So there is now a substitution mutation has taken place. That is, when AT is the normal base pair, here the base pair is substituted to GC. So that is how a substitution mutation takes place by tautomerization. Here we can see another example where this is normal C, and in the DNA, due to tautomerization, this C has become tautomerized. Now replication starts. During replication, this C will base pair with A rather than with G, because it is in the tautomeric form. Instead of pairing with G, it will base pair with A. So what happens? After that, it will convert to its normal form because it's a reversible reaction. But by the time in the opposite strand, it is A that has been incorporated. Now suppose the next replication. So these two lines represent next replication. During next replication, this C, which has already converted to its normal form, will base pair with G. But it is this A which makes the problem. This A will only base pair with thymine in the next replication. So here, instead of GC, which was the normal pair, AT has been incorporated. So this is how substitution mutations take place, and these are the two examples where we can see a copy error mechanism has led to a substitution mutation. The second mechanism that leads to substitution mutation is ionization. Ionization is a phenomenon in which there will be loss of hydrogen atoms from the base. So these ionized bases, they also enter into forbidden base pairing, just as we saw in tautomerization. So this in turn leads to base pair substitution during the next replication, exactly as we saw in tautomerization. So that is how ionization of bases during DNA replication introduce base pair substitutions, and these base pair substitutions are usually transitions, that is a purine replaced by a purine or a pyrimidine replaced by a pyrimidine. The third mechanism by which substitution mutation takes place is the binding of base analogues. Base analogues are derivatives of normal bases, and their molecular structure is somewhat similar to that of their normal counterparts. So we will go to some of the base analogues. The natural base analogues are 5-methyl cytosine, 5-hydroxymethyl cytosine, 5-hydroxymethyl uracil, etc. There are some artificial base analogues also. That is 5-bromouracil, which is analogous to thymine. 5-iodouracil, which is again an analog of thymine. 5-methyl cytosine and 2-bromocytosine, which are analogues of cytosine. So even though there is a structural difference, they can act like these bases. That means their base pairing properties are same. The base pairing property of 5-bromouracil is similar to that of thymine. So when DNA replication takes place in a medium containing these analogues, what happens is that when replication takes place and when the new strand is being synthesized, instead of a normal base, an analog can also be incorporated into the new strand. So in DNA replication, if it takes place in a medium containing base analogues, they can sometimes replace the normal bases in DNA. And let us see how this mechanism operates. This is normal thymine, which is the keto form. Here you can see. This is its analog, that is 5-bromouracil, who is in the keto form. This 5-bromouracil can also ionize and exist in the enol form. This is what we can see here. So these two are base analogues which exist in keto and enol forms. So this is 5-bromouracil which exists in both the keto and the enol forms. So we go to its pairing characteristics. The keto form, it will base pair with adenine just like thymine. Whereas the enol form of 5-bromouracil will base pair with guanine. So this is a DNA. It's a wild type allele with AT base pair. It is undergoing replication. Replication occurs in a medium which contains 5-bromouracil. So there is a chance for this 5-bromouracil to get incorporated here instead of T, as we already mentioned. So here, instead of T, depending upon the concentration of 5-bromouracil in the medium, there is a chance for it to get incorporated. So it will base pair with adenine. In what form it is? It is in the keto form. That is why it has paired with adenine. Even existing in the DNA molecule, it can ionize into its enol form. When this DNA undergoes next replication, this A will separate as one template strand, and this strand with 5-bromouracil will separate as the other template. And in the second template, so this is one template strand and this is the other template strand. This is the first template with 5-bromouracil and this is the next template with A. But what difference we can see is, earlier this 5-bromouracil was incorporated in the keto form, but now it is in the enol form. So during the next replication, this 5-bromouracil, instead of pairing with adenine, it will pair with guanine. As we know that the enol form base pairs with guanine. So here in the next replication, from this template strand, when it acts as a template strand, it is guanine which comes and incorporates here. And here normally thymine will come and get incorporated. Now we will go to the next replication, where this 5-bromouracil forms one template, G forms the other template. This 5-bromouracil, it will base pair with G in the next replication. Suppose it is again converted to the keto form, it will base pair with A. That can also happen. If it exists in the enol form, it will base pair with G. Whereas if it is again reverted to the keto form, it will base pair with A. But what happens to this G? G is normal. In the next replication, this G will act as a template and it will base pair only with C. So what happens? In this DNA, which was, or in this wild type of allele which was having AT base pair at this position, is now being changed to GC when newer and newer DNA molecules arise by replication. So that is how a base pair is being substituted by the other by the incorporation of base analogues. What are the effects of gene mutations? The primary effect is the alteration in the amino acid sequence of the polypeptide chain or the protein molecule synthesized. Since the polypeptide is synthesized through mRNA template, lead to transcription into a mutated mRNA which will produce a mutated polypeptide chain. And the immediate effect of a mutational change in a protein coded by a gene is the loss of its function. Suppose the protein which is coded by that gene is having enzymatic activity and it is a defective or faulty protein which is synthesized, the enzymatic property will be lost. So this results in a complete block of that particular metabolic pathway. And the gene mutations may affect enzymes either qualitatively or quantitatively. If it is a quantitative change, it will result in the reduced production of that enzyme or the non-production of that enzyme. If it's a qualitative change, we can expect a structural alteration in the enzyme or a functional alteration in the enzyme. And if the cases are extreme, the catalytic properties of the enzyme may be completely lost by gene mutation, and such mutations are called as nonsense mutations. And the primary effect of a gene mutation will always be followed by certain secondary events, as we can see in diseases such as sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, phenylketonuria, etc. And these will ultimately result in an altered phenotype, and most of the cases they will be recessive in nature.